And we're back for another episode of Online Pass Replay. This is, of course, the show where we're looking back at a little viewed news quiz that I did, 6 years ago. I'm joined, of course, by my contestant, the person I'm always fighting against. This is the host of Defunct Games News. Say hello, Lorne.
Hello, everybody.
Well, before we get into this, before we even explain what we're doing here, I first want to say we have a new episode of Defunct Games News coming this weekend. Is there anything that you can tell us about this? I hear you have something in the oven, something good.
Do you have something in the oven? It's another one of our patented longies, I guess you could call them, but we have some fun stuff lined up as well. So rest assured, we're bringing the pain, we're bringing the fun as always.
All right. Well, I am of course excited to see that. That's going to go up on Sunday, as always. Now, so here's what we're going to be doing today. Like I said, this is an episode from, I believe, August 16th, 2015. And the idea here is it's a 7-question news quiz. We're going to watch all 7 of the questions. We're going to answer them individually, and then we're going to figure out who knows the most about 6-year-old news. Now, obviously, I'm the person that created this quiz, so you would think I would have the advantage, but I don't remember these questions. I don't remember doing a lot of this stuff. This was a while ago. This was thousands of news stories ago. So we're going to see how much of this information I actually retained. And you're gonna take it with me for the first time. You're gonna see these questions for the first time, and hopefully everybody at home is going to play along and have a lot of fun. We've done this a few times already, so I think everybody knows what the deal is. We're just gonna jump right into it. Lorne, are you ready?
I am as ready can be, my friend.
Okay, I don't.
Ready to win?
Yeah, I know. Well. What was the score last week?
Last week is... Listen, you're living in the past, man. This is the present. We've got a past quiz to take, but the future is now. My time is now. Waboo-doo, okay?
All right. Well, let's just go ahead and jump into the August 16th episode of Online Pass. Here we go. Love the song.
It's okay. Don't fight it.
This is
I do
Online
dance along every time.
Every time.
Weekly video game news quiz show. My name is Cyril and I'm going to ask you a series of questions based on some of the biggest news stories from the past week.
Damn right you are.
It's your job to answer each question correctly. So grab a piece of paper and a number 2 pencil.
Got it.
Because this is a
Check and
test.
check.
Question 1. This was a bad week for Chris Pranger, the localization editor recently fired by Nintendo of America.
Oh.
Although he now takes responsibility, what dumb reason was given for Mr. Pranger's untimely dismissal?
That's a funny video. Chris Pranger. That is not a name that rings a bell.
Which you'd think it would, given the last name.
You would think that for sure. What kind of trouble could a localization person at Nintendo actually get into?
Do they have a history of posteriors and photocopiers by chance?
I mean, it makes you wonder if it's going to be something related to localization. Like, maybe he translated something, and made it sexual or something, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get the impression it's down to usually 2 things when it comes to this sort of stuff: corruption or incompetence. I'm inclined to agree with you in the line of thinking that it's incompetence, especially if you've referenced the fact that it's localization. You would imagine it's probably got something to do with that. I think you're on the right track with translation.
I'm going to guess that it's that he did some sort of inside joke. He tried to, slide a sex joke in there and get away with it.
Okay. I'm going to go with translation error because I think that's funnier. If somehow he'd mixed up a word that occurs in a game a million times I think that's way funnier, but really embarrassing at the same time. So I'm going to go with translation
Sure.
error.
Okay. All right. Well, we're not that far off. Let's we'll have to see which one of us is right.
Let's see.
All right. Question 2.
Question 2. Perhaps inspired by the enthusiastic reaction to news of the Final Fantasy VII remake, Capcom announced this week that they're finally going to remake and modernize one of their most popular releases. What game is getting the next generation makeover?
Oh, I know what this is.
I thought the Final Fantasy game was the only one they were doing.
Well, that's Square, not Capcom.
Oh, okay. Capcom. Sorry, my apologies.
Yep.
It'd help if I paid attention to the questions, wouldn't it? I might get some of them right occasionally. Capcom. I think actually no, I do know the answer to this question. It's Resident Evil, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's Resident Evil 2 specifically. Yeah.
It went on to do very well, if memory serves.
Yeah, Resident Evil 2 is great. Or their remake of Resident Evil 2 is great. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those that, you know, several years on, hindsight helps us out a little bit, because these games actually came out. And so, yeah, it's got to be Resident Evil 2, right? I mean, there's no question.
I think so.
All right.
Nice to know we got one in the bank.
Question 3.
There you go. Question 3.
Question 3. Hoping to avoid an Adderall scandal, the Electronic Sports League announced this week that they're going to adopt the World Anti-Doping Agency's list of banned substances. This is the same list used by the Olympics and other popular sporting events. If you're caught with any of these substances in your system, you can be fined and even banned from the sport. What is the maximum length of time you can be banned from the ESL?
For a VADA violation?
For drugs and stuff. Okay.
Okay.
Huh. I mean, it's got to be like a round number, right? It's not going to be like a certain amount of days.
Well, it depends. I mean, I know it's not quite equivalent, but USADA have a sliding scale. So if you pop once, you get a year. If you pop twice, you get 3. If you pop 3 times, you're banned for life. But I imagine because this isn't inherently performance enhancing, it's not as severe.
Right. Well, I mean, and there are definitely a lot of drugs that would, I mean, it's the opposite of performance enhancing. Like, I mean, you know, I can understand, you know, maybe Adderall might be something that would be really useful in competition, but I mean, if you go into like Evo or something, if you go into one of these tournaments stoned, maybe they should give you like double the amount of winnings.
You're playing with an impediment.
Yeah. You really earned it.
Wow.
Or if you're drunk or something, I don't know.
You can, they should really make that clear on your way in. So if you want to pound a bottle of Jack Daniels before you go, just to up the ante a little bit, then fair play to you. But I like to win, so I'd probably avoid that. As far as the length of time, though, that's a difficult one. What are you thinking?
I think it's going to be a year. I think they're just going to do like a round number like that.
I think that's.
I guess
a year.
I guguess a year's not really round. It's like a line, but whatever. Yeah, I think it's going to be a year.
I was thinking more like 3 months.
3 months. Oh,
yeah, a couple of tournaments.
Okay.
Like, especially if it's like I say, if they share the sliding scale, then it certainly seems like the first one would be, well, look, you can't participate in a couple of tournaments, and that then prohibits you from.
Okay.
But then it serves as the metaphorical slap on the wrist.
Once again, I may be going a little overboard when it comes to numbers, so I'm just going to say year and hope for the best.
Wow.
I hope you're right, because man, I don't know.
I think 3 months is fair for a first violation.
I agree.
A year's a bit harsh for an Adderall pill.
I agree. Well, we'll see which one of us is right at the end of this, I guess.
We'll see how they go.
All right, question 4.
Question 4. Square Enix announced this week that Final Fantasy XV would miss the holiday rush and ship sometime in 2016. While disappointing, this announcement should come as no surprise. But there is one thing about this launch that is noteworthy. What will Final Fantasy do for the very first time next year?
Go multiplayer? Or online?
Multiplayer. Well, Final Fantasy 11 and 14 were MMOs, so
Okay.
probably not that.
First time ever.
This actually reminds me that I bought and own Final Fantasy 15, but never went through it. I should one of these days, maybe.
I got no idea.
What are they gonna do for the first time? I'm okay. I think I have a guess. I think I'm gonna go with it's gonna launch on the PC along with the consoles, like around the same time as the consoles for the first time. I'm gonna say PC launch. Because it's Final Fantasy has always been a console series. It has come to other things. I have mentioned, like both of those MMOs I just mentioned were on PC. But I'm trying to remember if they launched first on console or not. Either way, that's my guess, because I don't know.
My guess is rather less ambitious than that.
What are you going to say?
That the protagonist won't have audacious hair that's 3 times the length of the actual character. I think they're going to take a risk and say, do you know what? Actually, we should style this hairdo on something, I don't know, bordering on real.
Well, if I recall correctly, I think like all 4 of the people are like they didn't just have one of those characters; they had like 4 of them.
See, they really took a chance on this one. They went, do you know what, guys? We really need to ditch these hairstyles.
Yeah. Well, now I can't wait to see what the actual answer is. I think we're both wrong.
I think you might be right.
Here we go. Here's question 5.
Question 5. Remember
Hey!
Gus from Breaking Bad? Well, his recognizable face is being used to sell an upcoming first-person shooter, and he's not alone. In a recent promotional video, a bunch of celebrities got together to generate hype. Among the in-crowd was Kendra Wilkinson, the Playboy model turned reality star, who admits to not being much of a gamer. It ended up being so much fun, she admits. I'm so glad this was the first game I got into. What upcoming shooter is she talking about?
We'll get to the throwback question in a second here. Oh, boy. God, do you remember her?
No, never heard of her in my entire life.
Really?
That other guy looked familiar, though. I've never seen him in every television show I like.
Well, we'll probably talk a little bit more about Giancarlo Esposito in a second. But Kendra, man, she really parlayed dating Hugh Hefner into like a whole career for a couple of years.
Who among
I'd
us?
completely forgotten about her.
Who among us, my friend? I enjoyed my stay.
Ooh, now I almost forgot the question. Okay, so what game, I guess, what game were they playing?
What first-person shooter, I believe.
Is it too base to say that, to say like Call of Duty or something? Because they always have all the celebrities. But that doesn't seem like it would be the thing.
Is she really on the level of a Call of Duty, or would she be more on the level of a Battlefield, perhaps? Or something in that vein, considering that, I mean, again, her notoriety isn't... I've never heard of her, but I know that they got Robert Downey Jr. to do Call of Duty, so there's a slight disparity there.
Well, and right. But thankfully... these aren't people necessarily in the game. It seemed like they were just playing it for an advertisement.
Robert Downey Jr. wasn't in one of the games either. He was in an advertisement.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it cost them a mint, but he was in the advertisement. I imagine her paycheck wasn't as, multi-million-dollar home-s.
Yeah.
But
you're right. Now that I think about it, some of those Call of Duty commercials did have like Danny Trejo and Snoop Dogg showed up in some of the advertising. Oh boy, Now that you mention it, I do remember that. Huh. I mean, okay, we're in agreement that it's some sort of shooter, though, right? Some sort of online shooter like that.
Yeah, that was the question was which shooter was she saying that was the game that she was playing. So I guess it's a question of narrowing down which she would have been exposed to. Because considering was she sitting with Esposito when she was doing it? In which case, does he have an affiliation with a first person game that was out around that time?
I want to say that he was a voice in one of those Far Cry games, if I remember correctly. I'm sure that I'll be chastised in the comments if that's not the case. But I recall him being like a villain or something in one of those games, right? It would have been around the right time.
Well, he's a villain in the Far Cry 6 game that's still pending.
Is that what I'm remembering? Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty prominent on the advertising for that. I was thinking more along the lines of Battlefield Hardline or something along those lines, something that wasn't maybe as you know what I mean. Like it wasn't. It's not as fondly remembered, but I know that it was very character driven. So perhaps there was some element to that. I'm not too sure, but that would be my guess because I don't recognize her from any other promotional material.
I think that's a pretty good guess. Okay. I'm going to say Call of Duty. Are you going to be... Do I need to be real specific? Because they do one of those every year. And if you're asking me to remember what Call of Duty game came out in 2015, then it's I'm sorry, it's not going to happen.
Okay.
So I'm going to say... COD 2015.
Okay.
You okay with that?
I'm fine with that so long as I can get away with a Battlefield game in 2015.
Sure. If it's Battlefield, you got it. If it's Call of Duty...
You got yourself a deal then, sir.
All right. Let's jump into Throwback Question and see how well you do, Lorne.
See how we do.
And now, the Throwback Round, where I pull questions from classic game magazines. Brace yourself.
Embraced.
The next corner's rough. 15 years ago, Next Generation Magazine was looking for a new game to mock. As readers may recall, for the past 16 years, News Bites has been making jokes about Daikatana. Now that the game is out, there's no point in joking about it anymore. We asked you, the reader, to suggest a new target for our jokes. What game did the readers overwhelmingly recommend?
Oh! Okay. So, what's another bad game from that era? Or maybe just a game that wasn't coming out for a while? Or yeah, okay.
What time period are we talking about here specifically?
When did I'm
thinking legendarily early 2000s, bad
late
game.
90s.
Okay, legendarily bad games from that period. Like really joke worthy.
Yeah.
Is this too late in the day for N64 games like Superman, or is that?
Well, yeah, I was thinking Superman 64. That was one of the ones I was thinking. So I think that's around the right era, but maybe not.
Were there any PlayStation games that were ridiculed for being particularly bad at the time? Seem to remember a lot of them.
I would say Blasto, but everybody that's left a comment on my Game Over episode definitely disagrees with me.
Being quick to point out the contrary. The internet is undefeated,
People
my
love
friend.
Blasto. People should go, right now, they should go over and look at the comment section of that Game Over episode. People hate me.
They should go back and play the game and enjoy it for its for the value that it has, rather than hating on you for your opinion.
It's not a good game.
It's not a good game. But we digress. I mean, unless you really want to turn the screw and put Blasto as your answer. Oh no, you're considering it.
No, that's too late.
I was going to say, all right, okay, that's fine then.
Yeah.
Oh God, you devil, you left me hanging there. I don't know. I'm the Superman 64 is the one that comes to mind as a truly terrible game from that period that I remember everyone making fun of, to the point where people still do reviews of it to this day.
Yes,
with the understanding that they're going to experience something truly woeful. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I think I'm going with Superman 64 as well. That was the one that I was that first sprang into my mind when it was Next Generation Magazine, and they had also been using Myst as a punching bag. But this would have been way too late for Myst. No, I think it is Superman 64.
Okay. We've actually got reasonably similar answers this week, so this should be interesting how this plays out.
We'll see. Well, we'll have to find out if there's like a tiebreaker here or something.
Woo!
Woohoo! All right, here we go. Here are the answers, folks.
Okay, put your pencils down, everybody.
They're down.
The quiz is over.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how you did.
Come on, winner.
After appearing on the Part-Time Gamers podcast, localization editor Chris Pranger was fired by Nintendo of America. As many of you have probably seen, I am no longer with Nintendo, begins Chris's Facebook message. I was terminated this week due to a podcast appearance I made last Monday.
Wow.
It was a stupid judgment call on my part, and ultimately it cost me far more than I could have imagined. I can only hope that Chris lands at a company who's actually interested in receiving good press.
Okay,
He was on a podcast
wow.
and got... And what, did he fire or did he get resigned?
No,
it
looks like he was fired and not asked to resign.
Well,
Okay.
the idea of being terminated from an appearance on a podcast, what a trendsetter. I mean,
Yes.
what an OG. What did he say?
How bad could that podcast have been?
Difficult to say.
I mean, this didn't bring up anything like he gave away secrets or like made a lot of questionable, maybe bigoted comments or something. So, maybe I should go back and listen to that and see what happened, because that doesn't seem like a whole lot. But I mean, maybe Nintendo really frowns at that kind of stuff.
Well, maybe he was bigging up in a competitor or something like that.
Maybe. All right. Well, we got that wrong.
Got that one wrong. Never mind.
Yeah. Not a translation issue in this case at all. So there you go.
There you go.
Answer 2.
When Resident Evil was remade for the GameCube, many wondered if this would lead Capcom to modernizing all of their 32-bit survival horror titles. Sadly, this ended up not being the case. Despite critical and financial success, Capcom chose not to remake Resident Evil 2 or Nemesis.
We do it.
That is, until now.
This
This week, the Japanese publisher announced that the Resident Evil 2 remake is in development and hitting modern consoles sometime after Resident Evil 0. Are you excited? Wait, no. That's not actually a question. Put your pencils back down.
I want that t-shirt.
I am excited because it's a great game. There's a lot of rumor right now. There's so many rumors right now that the next one they're going to do is a remake of Resident Evil 4, which I don't understand because Resident Evil 4 is perfect. What they need to do is the Code Veronica. They need to remake that and maybe make that story better and that gameplay better and just that whole game. Maybe just rewrite the whole game.
Yeah, you can focus your efforts on that. I would rather them focus their efforts on making a half-decent zombie movie. Just,
Well, that's out of their hands. And hey, they have a bunch of attempts this year. They have a new Resident Evil movie coming out. Plus they have, I think, 2 different Resident Evil Netflix shows. So, just if we're playing numbers here, one of them has got to be good.
I love your optimism, my friend. Your enthusiasm for numbers being high is betraying you, though, I feel.
I think it is too. All right, answer 3.
Question 3.
After a team revealed a member had consumed Adderall to help focus, the Electronic Sports League decided to adopt the World Anti-Doping Agency's list of banned substances. This list includes everything from anabolic steroids and HGH to cocaine and cannabis. However, not all of the substances are treated equally.
Okay.
For example, marijuana cannot be consumed from the start of the first day to the end of the last day of competition, but is acceptable when you're not competing. On the other hand, cocaine and steroids are banned at all times.
Okay.
At worst, testing positive can result in a maximum of a 2-year ban.
2
from the
year?
league.
Hold on.
Oh, wait, hang on. So wait, they're saying that Adderall they're classing as in the same vein as cocaine and steroids.
Basically, it'll give you a 2-year. Yeah.
Okay, but I think this might be a first. Hold on to your seats, people, because I am going to question the validity of the answer of a question Cyril, not me,
Okay.
Cyril has put forward.
Okay.
Because I have seen plenty of examples of UFC cases where they are given 2-year sentences, but typically they are suspended down to, again, 3 to 6 months. I would defy you to find me a case where someone was actually banned for 2 years.
Well, okay, remember that the news wasn't, did so-and-so get banned for that long? The question was about that they had announced that they were going to be doing this policy. So this is still before anybody had technically been like charged with anything or found caught or whatnot. Okay. It's in response to some, to that player. But I mean, I'm just going off of the news story.
I am.
Give 2015 me a break. Get off my ass, dude.
I would give you a break, except for if I remember the phrasing of the question, it was Adderall specifically, though. Not if someone turns up jacked to the proverbial on steroids, yeah, I can see them giving them 2 years by saying, and on the way out, please don't take the doors off the hinges. But Adderall, I would imagine they would say, okay, maybe don't take Adderall, we're banning you for X amount of period, but not 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years is crazy.
That's a very long time. Well, we're both wrong, I guess, but still, I doth protest the question, fine sir.
All right, well, maybe when I edit this, I will look into it and figure out if anybody actually got a 2-year suspension. And by the way, I'm not going to do that.
Okay, future you're dropping the ball.
All right, answer 4.
It was wishful thinking to expect Final Fantasy XV this year.
Yep.
So it wasn't at all surprising that Square Enix attached a 2016 release to the much-anticipated sequel. But what is surprising is the way it's being released around the world. For the first time ever, Final Fantasy is getting a simultaneous launch in the United States, Japan, and Europe. It used to be that English-speaking gamers would have to wait months, if not longer, for a proper localization. But apparently that's a relic of the past, which is fine by me.
Now, you probably don't... I don't know how many of the Final Fantasy games you've played, if any, to be honest. But, yeah, there was like, I remember when it came to a lot of the older games, there'd be like, at least a 6-month and sometimes like a year or more break between, or it would take a while for those games to come to America. I imported both Final Fantasy 7 and 8. I have the Japanese versions of them because I couldn't wait to play them, even though I couldn't speak, or I couldn't read, more specifically, Japanese. I can't speak it either, to be fair. But in this case, what really mattered was not being able to read it. And so I don't know how many other people did this, but I mean, I got like Final Fantasy 7 6 months before it came out in the US, and I went through that thing thanks to GameFAQs, because, there were all those people that were kind of self-translating it and helping, trying to explain how to play it and what you needed to look for and what buttons did what and stuff like that. And so, like, I have this weird experience with Final Fantasy 7 where I didn't understand the story at all until I watched, or until I played the American one after playing the Japanese one.
The real question is, though, what was their hair like in this one?
It was.
Was it standard? Did they take the risk?
Well, it was standard Final Fantasy.
I don't get the point.
It was very big and spiky.
Oh well, a boy can dream. But then, but neither of us got that one right either. So
no, we still only have one right answer.
Interesting. Well, we only have one question between us that can separate this. So it's. Are you feeling the pressure? You might lose.
Well, I feel this is a big step down from last week where I got 5 of the questions right.
Again, I'm so excited now. I could actually win. Although saying
if the next answer is Battlefield, then I think I'm gonna have to like lower your volume because you're gonna be yelling so loud with excitement.
Push that button and find out, my friend.
Here we go. Answer 5.
Look, I'm not saying that Tom Clancy's Rainbow
damn
Six
it!
Siege is desperate for attention, but their newest celebrity reaction video isn't helping their cause. The group includes pro athlete Hank Baskett, actor Giancarlo Esposito, and power couple Lisa and Rick Malambri. But it was Hugh Hefner's ex-girlfriend that stole the show, suggesting that this was the first game she ever got into. I'm sure that speaks to the target demo, right?
Okay.
Shady. Past
It's
Cyril
funny.
was so shady. I love Past Cyril so much. That guy in current day Cyril would sit in a room and just conflict each other all day long, and it would be an amazing watching experience.
If I did new episodes, I would probably still be this way. Or I would still be a kind of a dick in these questions.
It's brilliant. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
As you kind of alluded to when the question was asked, we've talked a lot about Giancarlo Esposito recently. And it's, I'm actually a little proud of myself at the restraint when it came to talking about Gus Fring, or specifically showing spoilers from Breaking Bad when it comes to Gus Fring. So I'm proud of myself from 2015. No face-off moment. The people that have watched the show will know what I'm talking about. However, one thing that I learned like less than 24 hours ago, and you had to know I was going to bring this up. One thing that I learned about Giancarlo Esposito that I had no idea about, besides the fact that, of course, he's the villain in everything these days, is that he and we share a birthday.
So it turns out.
Yeah, we were both born on April 26th. Now, mind you, he is quite a bit older than me. But he and I, both Tauruses, he and I will be blowing out candles at the exact same time. And I'm going to make sure of that because I'm going to be standing outside of his house and watching and making sure.
That's a tight move. Walk up to a villain of everything and try and intimidate him. That's a tight move, and I like it. But although I would point out to everyone, you now have no excuses. Mark your calendars because you didn't send Cyril all of the presents last year, and he remembered. So presents, all of them this year. Just send them. Just put them in the post and say to Cyril. They'll get there somehow, some way. Don't worry about an address.
Answer 6.
Come on, then. Damn it.
By the year 2000, Team Fortress 2 had already been delayed a number of times. It was in the midst of having an identity crisis, which was certainly not helped by the dopey subtitle Brotherhood in Arms. So when Next Generation magazine went looking for a brand new target to mock after the release of Daikatana, most recommended Team Fortress 2 to be the next whipping boy. Unlike Daikatana, Team Fortress 2 ended up silencing all the critics. Sure, it didn't hit computers and consoles until 2007, but the result was well worth the wait.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
There you go.
That surprises me. Because I recall people liking Team Fortress 2.
According to that, they did, but it was one of those preemptive things that people assumed and got wrong.
Of course, now that I think about it, I mean, of course, looking at that trailer and then looking at what Team Fortress 2 actually became, clearly there was, obviously a big shift between when it was announced and when it actually came out. So I do understand why people would say that. I understand their reasoning. And it did take a really long time for that game to eventually come out. Okay. Wow. And okay, the other big surprise, only 6 questions.
I did notice that. I felt like maybe I'd missed a whole question, at which point you were going to ask me, so what's your answer, Lorne? And I'd have to make up that I heard the question, but no, just the 6 this week.
I thought that too. I had written down 6, and I was looking at it thinking, I must have just not written down one of them.
But how'd you do?
Well, we did really badly. 1 for 6. Which, I mean, I suppose is better than 1 for 7. So
see, here's the problem.
There's that.
You go, I got 1 for 6. I got 1 for 6. So, yeah, draw's a draw.
You tied.
Yeah, I'll take the draw. That's fine.
I like that. I like how it's a win for you.
I get a point. It's great. Again, in real football, you get 3 points for winning, none for losing, but you get a point for turning up. It's great. I get a point.
Yeah. Get a point just for showing up.
Well, I get, and plus I start next week undefeated, so there's that to brag about.
Well, maybe at the end of this, what we should do when we've watched all 19 episodes or whatever there were, we should add up all of the points and see who really knew the most.
Then I shall tell you then what I shall tell you now. You need to stop living in the past and focus on the present. On my current win of 7-0 on that particular quiz, because I'm almost 100% certain at some point I'm bound to get better at these things.
I hope so. Well, all right. This was not a great episode for me. Only one for 6, but that's okay. I suspect, you know what? I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to predict it right now. I'm going to do better next week. And next week we'll be back with another one of these. We still have so many of these to get through. We're slowly getting caught up. This thing eventually ends, I believe, with questions about E3 2016. So we will eventually get into a new year. But for now, we're still stuck in 2015 because that's when the news was, I guess. So I appreciate you hanging out with me, Lorne. We have a great episode of Defunct Games news coming on Sunday. So hopefully everybody will tune in for that. They should tune in for that, right?
They better.
Yeah, I agree.
Or not, you can do whatever, I'd like it if you watched, but you don't have to. As long as you watch everything else we do, then sure you can miss one.
There's a lot of it too. There were a lot of reviews that went up this week.
Exactly. Get all of those in. If you absolutely have to miss anything, don't miss anything and watch them all 3 times and send Cyril presents in advance for his birthday.
That's right. It's coming up. It's about a month away.
Yeah, so don't waste time. Get on it now.
All right. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me, Lorne, and taking this quiz. We'll be back next week with, I guess, the 5th episode, and maybe you and I will do better at it. So, thank you, Lorne, for hanging out with me. We will see you next week.
Adios.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Online Pass Replay. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we're going to be doing one of these pretty much every Saturday until we run out of old episodes. Now, here's the question I have for you. Do celebrity endorsements actually make you want to buy a game? I guess what I'm really asking is, does Kendra Wilkinson make you want to buy a first-person shooter? Let me see your thoughts in the comments below. In other news, Lorne will be back tomorrow with a new episode of Defunct Games News, followed on Monday by a new Game Over episode, and then a review of El Hijo on Tuesday. We have a packed week in store for you, so I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,